Mashav, your host. Last episode, I talked about cutting costs after divorce, ways to reduce your expenses, get a clearer picture of where your money's going, buy yourself some breathing room. And at the end of the episode, I said, next time I'll talk about the other side of the coin, how to increase your income. And then I didn't record for over a month. So part of that is because I went through a surgery, and so I had an excuse to take it easy with work, but it's not just that. This topic is harder for me. And it's not that I don't have things to say, but because I'm still in it. 4 years after my separation, my income situation is not where I want it to be. But I see that this is a question that keeps on surfacing for women after divorce. How do I increase my income? How do I support myself financially after this? And instead of giving you a list of practical tips, I want to be honest with you about what I've learned, what I got wrong, and where I think the real problem actually is, because I don't think that it is what most people tell you it is. When I separated, I was terrified, not just emotionally, financially terrified. I'd closed my personal chef business right when it was starting to gain traction because of COVID. Then I spent 2 years building a culinary travel blog that hadn't made money yet. And that's when our marriage blew up. And suddenly, I was alone with a small child in New York, living off of savings and temporary support settlement. I realized quickly that I needed cash flow, but I didn't know what to do. So I asked my parents for their advice, and my parents told me to start applying for jobs. Just a reminder, I had my own business and I didn't have an office job for almost a decade. But I tried anyway. I took all the skills I gathered from my food businesses and brainstormed different roles that I can get into. I sent out dozens of CVs, manually written cover letters, and customized each one for each of the roles. And I got one interview, which didn't work out. Also, I got an office job at a restaurant, and I lasted 3 days there before I quit and felt relieved the moment I walked out. Why am I telling you that? I'm not telling you this because I think job hunting is the wrong move or that I think everybody should be an entrepreneur. I'm telling you because I was doing all of that from the wrong starting point. I was making decisions about my financial future from a place of pure panic. And panic is usually a bad strategy. Here's what I think money actually represents for women going through divorce and why it's so important. Money is stability. Money is freedom. And divorce shakes that stability. Even for women who were financially comfortable inside the marriage, suddenly that delicate glue that held everything together is gone. And the question underneath every financial decision isn't really, how do I earn more? It's more, how do I make sure I never have to depend on someone else? And how do I make sure me and my kids are okay? That's not quite budgeting problem. That's a fear response. And from that fear, we tend to move fast and in the wrong direction. After a few months applying for jobs I didn't want in a city I was planning to leave within a couple of years, in a mental state where I had almost no capacity, I decided to stop. It made sense on paper maybe, but it made no sense for where I actually was. What actually helped me wasn't a 9-to-5 job. It was permission to stop panicking and to pay attention. I started dancing again after years of not doing it. I posted videos on TikTok about food and my life in Brooklyn. I went on a lot of dates. I read books and I listened to podcasts and explored the city. I stopped trying to force a solution and started noticing what gave me energy and what didn't. And then, slowly, the curiosity came back. Not in a day, just a slow shift from how do I survive this to, wait, I actually get to decide what my life looks like right now. And it was exciting. But there was something else I had to do first, and I didn't realize how much it was blocking me until I did it. I had to let go of being a chef. I had spent almost a decade building that identity, culinary training, a personal chef business, a food and travel blog. Food was how I perceived myself professionally, and somewhere in the back of my mind, I was still trying to find a path that fits inside that identity, something food adjacent, something that honored all of those years of investment. When I finally gave myself permission to do something that had nothing to do with food, I felt a weight lift that I hadn't even fully noticed I was carrying. And I grieved it for a while genuinely, and then I could move on. Yeah, sometimes I miss it and people ask me about it occasionally, and I might someday come back to it in some sort of way. I realize I hadn't abandoned that identity. It's still part of me, and the last 10 years in that field gave me my own unique point of view of the world. And from that place, I found something I hadn't considered before. And I found it completely by accident. I was scrolling and noticed someone had an Amazon storefront, a page with all the products that they recommended, all inside the Amazon domain. I had never seen this before, and my first thought was, wait, how do I get one of those? That's it. That was a spark of curiosity. I had actually been an Amazon affiliate years earlier with my culinary travel website. I earned pennies from it, but a curated storefront felt different and more useful. So I started researching how to get one. And that research opened up a whole world I didn't even know existed. The Amazon Influencer Program, on-site commissions, the mechanics of how it actually worked, and I got genuinely excited. I already had a TikTok channel. I already knew how to make videos. I already knew how to talk to the camera. And I didn't need to learn a new skill. I needed to point what I already had to a different direction. In the first year, I created and posted over 1,000 videos, reviewing everything I could get my hands on that sold on Amazon. Over the 2 years I was doing it seriously, I grossed over $100,000. That income gave me breathing room I hadn't had since the separation. Enough to stop making decisions from panic. Enough to experiment. Enough to eventually build Hello New Me. Okay, I want to be honest about two things. One, timing mattered. I got into that program at a good moment, and it's not what it used to be 4 years ago now. I'm not telling you to go and do exactly that. Two, I was lucky in some ways, but luck is not the whole story. I was paying attention. I was open. I was willing to follow an unfamiliar thread instead of waiting for a conventional path to open up. That's not completely luck. And from that one stream, I could see a whole landscape of options I hadn't seen before. Brand collaborations, UGC freelancing, affiliate marketing, YouTube monetization, paths that use the same skills in different directions. But I chose Hello New Me because it's a topic that matters to me in a unique situation that I can help other women going through the same process that I have, but it wasn't the easiest path financially. Honestly, it's probably far from it, but I made that decision deliberately with a financial analysis, with a clear picture of how much runway I have and when I need to reevaluate. That's a different thing from just hoping it'll work out. So I've been reading a book lately called How to Overcome Under-Earning by Barbara Stanny. And what's interesting about it is that it's not a tactics book. It's not, here are 5 income streams for women over 40, but it's about the patterns and beliefs that keep people earning less than they're capable of, often without even realizing it. That framing really resonated with me because I think a lot of women after divorce aren't actually facing an income problem. They're facing an orientation problem. They don't know yet what they're working towards, what constraints are real versus what's self-imposed, what they're sitting on that they haven't thought to look at differently. And without that clarity, any income advice is just noise. I'm working on something that tries to address exactly that. A framework specifically for women in this transition that helps you figure out not just how to earn more, but what's your superpower that you might have not noticed. It's not ready yet, but I'll tell you when it is. For now, if you're in early separation and the income panic is paralyzing, here's what I want to leave you with. This panic is real. The urgency is real. I'm not dismissing it. But the women I see making the most damaging financial moves after divorce are the ones who skip this orientation phase entirely and go straight to action. Take the first job that calls back. Say yes to every gig because they're afraid to say no. Work more and more for less and less. And feel like this is the responsible thing to do. That's hustle culture, not a real solution, especially when you're that overwhelmed. What helped me was staying open long enough to notice something unexpected. I wasn't looking for Amazon influencer program. I stumbled across something that made me curious. I followed that thread, and it led somewhere I couldn't have planned. I don't know what your thread looks like, but I do know this. If you're moving too fast, you might walk right past it. The opportunities that end up changing things are often quiet. They don't announce themselves. They just catch your attention for a second and make you think, what's that? So stay open to those moments. You don't know yet where they lead. That's the episode. I know it's not the income increasing guide I thought I'll be talking about last time. Maybe the tidy guide comes later and I'll attach it to the show notes, but I'd rather give you something honest now instead of just glossing over that very important topic. If this landed for you, please share it with someone who needs it. And if you want to tell me where you're at with the income question right now, I'm in the comments and the links that I'm going to attach to the show notes. Thank you all for listening to the New Me podcast. My name is Mashav. Talk to you soon.